Good afternoon, everybody, and buenas tardes. Did I say it right? I feel overwhelmed by this opportunity. It's a true pleasure to be invited to address this distinguished audience, talking about housing finance and environmental sustainability and social inclusion, all sorts of things. But after such a touching speech by Yumi, I feel like looking back what we've been doing, what we are all trying to do is to make the lives of people better by providing more affordable housing and better finance. And human rights stand above everything that we do, because at the top of the quality of life lies freedom of human rights. So I feel extremely humbled to be given this opportunity to address you. And practically it's just before lunchtime, so it doubles my challenge. But I'll try my best to share with you what we've been doing and what we look forward to doing. And Luca was instrumental in forming partnership between KHFC and EMF-ECBC, and he even demonstrated his solidarity when I was falling behind in the race. This morning, he proposed to walk the final 400 meters with me, so we both made it. Thank you so much for that. So entitled my talk, Building Resilience and Inclusion in Global Housing Finance. And housing finance world over is at a crossroad in the sense that we face mega trends of climate change, demographic shifts, and digital transformation. And we are also going through extreme uncertainty and volatility, which test our policies and our markets. In this presentation, I'd like to briefly explain what we are faced with and how covered bond can contribute to enhancing financial stability, social inclusion, and environmental sustainability. And in addition, I'd like to briefly explain what we are doing as a corporation, as a government entity, trying to strike the balance between efficiency and social concerns, responsibilities within our national border, but also try to engage in global efforts to promote financial sustainability and financial stability. And I'd like to propose some areas where we can work together going forward. Well, I'll start with this diagram borrowed from a publication by Oxford Economics entitled Global Megatrends. It's a meta-survey, and it's a scan of scans in the sense that it's a survey of all the major documents published on this subject 5 years prior to the publication of the report itself. And you can see the thick fonts indicating the important keywords. And more recently, Deloitte published this report, 5 Global Shifts Shaping the World We Live In, where they identify 5 trends: climate change, demographic shifts, technological disruption, a fracturing world, and social instability. So let me go through this one by one very quickly. First, climate change and green transition. And residential buildings account for a significant portion of energy consumption at the global level, as well as carbon emission, which is about 17% direct and indirect. So it's important to decarbonize the housing stock to meet the challenge of net zero transition, and the Korean government prioritized green transition with housing as a key sector for that. And we support this through offering green mortgages, and we plan to issue green covered bonds soon. Next, how aging population and its implications. As Luca mentioned, Korea is the fastest aging societies globally, and also with a country with the lowest fertility rate in the world. So this shows the trend of the share of population of 65 years of age and older in OECD countries as a whole and Korea. Back in 2000, the share was 7% in Korea, whereas OECD average was nearly 13%. But our number kept increasing, and eventually we caught up and overtook the OECD average. Now we have 20% of our population 65 years and older, which is known as a super-aged society. Declining fertility rate, likewise. We started with 4.5 fertility rate back in 1970, steadily declined, and soon, 1983 or around that time, we tied up with the OECD average and then continued to decline to become the lowest fertility country in the world. There is a little good news that we are bouncing back very small bit last year and this year. We hope this will be a new trend. And implications are clear. Combined with deteriorating housing affordability in general, younger people have difficulty meeting their housing costs and also find home ownership opportunity sort of slip away. I think this is not just Korea, it's taking place in many other countries. On the other hand, older homeowners have inadequate income, many of them, especially where pension is not sufficient, like in Korea. And their wealth is locked in their housing asset. In Korea, the senior citizens' portfolio has more than 75% of their asset tied up in property. So we operate home pension program, which is a reverse mortgage program, under government leadership and with our own guarantee, which allows senior citizens to convert home equity into retirement income so that they can raise some money to finance their living expenses without having to leave their homes where they have been living for so many years. Next, geopolitical fragmentation has become a source of growing uncertainties around the world. And this has implications on interest rate fluctuations and instability in housing finance markets. And Korea has experienced two financial crises, one in Asia, 1997 Asian financial crisis, and more recently, 2008 global financial crisis. And we have firsthand experience of dealing with this crisis, and we learn how important it is to have a proactive policy intervention. And this is a chart published by the World Uncertainty Index. This is based on the number of crises showing up in the EIU, the Economic Intelligence Unit of the Economist. And they tracked this. And the last point is dated June 25, 2025, and you can see that it's skyrocketed. Deteriorating housing affordability is a global concern. This is a combination of inadequate income and high house prices. And high prices often caused by inadequate supply of all kinds of housing in response to demand, which in turn is caused by land use regulations and building regulations. So a mismatch between demand and supply is a problem. And it is really important for us because no matter how good a housing finance system we put in place, if housing is too expensive compared to income, there is no way to make home purchases affordable to the vast majority of the population. So, well, this is a little complex, but it shows declining affordability. I have no intention to embarrass anybody, but this is a diagram that goes with an article authored by Paul Cheshire, professor at London School of Economics. Sorry, this is a typo. turning housing into gold, the failure of British planning system. And he said, don't blame the foreigners, it's we who turn houses into gold. Now, this is a recent work from OECD, and it shows basically housing is generally not built where it is needed most. So this mismatch is a fundamental problem. Turning to our mortgage market and the role of our corporation, residential mortgage markets really took off following interest rate deregulation in the aftermath of the Asian financial crisis. And ever since, mortgage market expanded faster than the growth of the size of the economy, so that the mortgage debt outstanding to GDP ratio steadily increased from 30% back in 2007 to 44% recently, which is a comparable number to the EU average. And we originate our own long-term fixed rate, fully amortizing mortgages through a network of participating banks, so that our share in MDO is nearly 20%. More importantly, we played a pivotal role in transforming household debt structure from predominantly variable rate bullet loans to fully amortizing fixed rate mortgages over the years. And in order to provide these fixed rate mortgages, we raise funds through securitization. We issue mortgage-backed securities in Korea and covered bonds overseas in Europe in particular, and that's one of the main reasons I'm here together with my colleagues here. And about 14% of our mortgages on balance sheet are securitized by MBS and covered bonds together, which is now it's about 14%, which is on par with the level of UK. This is a substantial increase from where we were in 2004 when we were established. But let me skip this. So this shows where the size of the mortgage market in Korea stands now. This is the per capita income against the mortgage debt outstanding to GDP ratio, and you can see that we are just side by side with the European average. Okay, now we all work in the covered bond sector, and covered bonds offer a secure funding channel, bridging the banks and the capital markets, and their dual recourse structure enhances investor confidence and market resilience together with transparent oversight. So through the long history, covered bonds have built a reputation as a high-quality liquid asset and proved their strengths during the global financial crisis. And we, the Korean Housing Finance Corporation, adopted the covered bond framework to diversify our funding sources to international capital markets in 2010 when we first issued our first covered bond. We are one of the largest issuers of social covered bonds. We were the first from Asia to issue such bonds in 2018. As you're aware, the percentage of covered bond issued by non-European issuers is increasing over the years, and Korea is one of the major players outside the Eurozone. So, what is important, we are very much appreciative of, is that Korea has drawn on the standards, supervisory practices, and transparency framework that are accumulated in Europe over the years to refine our own system and expand communication with investors to build more trust. And social and green covered bonds, we have been focusing on the social part of the ESG covered bonds. Now we want to move into the green covered bond area because for the reasons that I explained earlier. So we promote energy efficient housing construction in eco-friendly renovation, which is a modest contribution to global sustainability efforts. So we are the only lender of green mortgages, and as I said, we are planning to issue our first green mortgages in the near future. And we found that our green mortgages have lower delinquency rate and also lower prepayment rate, so it's a better risk to the lender. And the underlying green homes operate on a smaller energy bill. So this is an example of doing well by doing good. Did I say it right? Okay. So we awarded Sustainable Debt Award Social Bond of the Year recently, and we are committed to expanding our social and environmental green covered bond issuance going forward. Finally, let's talk about the need for international cooperation and where we can cooperate. I think housing finance challenges are global in nature, and we try to propose 3 areas where we could enhance our cooperation. Sustainable finance, by joint development of green instruments and standards, and information database and so on. Financial stability, sharing risk mitigation strategies, and regulatory best practices, but also best ways to take advantage of new technologies. And knowledge experience exchange, we want to build stronger networks for policy dialogue and product innovation and ways to tap the new technologies. And this collaboration will help build more resilient and inclusive housing systems worldwide. And harmonizing ESG standards and certification processes, I think, is the key to scaling, taking sustainable finance to scale. And we align our green bond framework with international guidelines. And by working together, we can unlock more capital for climate-smart housing. And finally, as national capital markets are more and more connected with each other, global financial stability requires more coordinated action across borders. And ECBC and regulatory bodies in Europe play a vital role in promoting transparency and resilience of the secondary mortgage markets. And we want to learn more about and also make modest contribution to it. And finally, promoting knowledge exchange. We aim strengthening partnerships and collaboration with housing finance institutions in the US and Europe, as well as some international organizations, which we just visited OECD on our way. We signed an MOU with the EMF and ECBC, with Luca playing a crucial role. And through this partnership, we want to facilitate the sharing of data, policy insights, and technical expertise going forward. And we all invite you and our members to work together to build a smarter and more inclusive housing finance ecosystem. So in conclusion, I believe that housing finance must evolve to meet the needs of both the current generation and the future generations. We're targeting at achieving affordable, sustainable, and inclusive housing. And we are committed to balancing domestic responsibility with global engagement. And we will remain a humble learner, steadily improving alignment with international standards, and a transparent partner, sharing our experiences with the global community and learn more from our partners in so doing. And we stand ready to work with all of you. And I think Seville is an ideal place to reconfirm our commitment to joint endeavor. Many years ago, Seville was a gateway to the new world. And now we are more connected here and reconfirm our commitment to jointly navigate the great transition together. With this, thank you very much for your attention.